A lot of questions been asked about the Nvidia Shield and what are my options as far as using this as a network attached storage. So today's video, I'm going to show you how to do that. We're also going to do a couple speed tests just to see what read-write speeds we're getting. And in this video, I'm also going to show you how to set up your own VPN server. That way you can access your resources when you're not at home or on the network. So before we jump into the actual setup, here are a couple things that you might want to consider when using a Shield as a network attached storage. So one, you want to make sure that your Shield is attached via Ethernet to your network. That will just give you better performance overall, guys. Definitely don't recommend doing this while you're connected to Wi-Fi. Two, I recommend that the Shield that you're using is not the Shield cone or the round Nvidia Shield from 2019. Try to get either the Shield Pro or the 2017 Shield, one of the standard Nvidia Shields with the USB ports. It just makes life a lot easier in my opinion. Three, you will need a hard drive. You will need either a solid state drive or a mechanical drive, but I definitely recommend getting an SSD just to maximize those speeds. And I'll go ahead and leave links in the description of this video. And number four, very important, you want to make sure that your Nvidia Shield TV stays awake, doesn't go to sleep, and I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So first thing we're going to do is plug in our hard drive or a USB drive into the Nvidia Shield TV. Alright, so you will see this pop up, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel out of this. We'll let that notification go away as well. And notice that after you plug it in, you will see that notification right there. If you click on that, it will bring you to the option to set it up. But I'm going to show you guys how to get to it a long way, just in case the notification isn't there or it goes away or whatever the case is. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to go to our settings. Going to go down to device preferences. Going to go down to storage. Now we're going to see the drive that's connected to our Shield. The drive that I just connected is a 500 gigabyte SSD and it's called Mojo 2. So click on that. You can see I have about 340 gigs available. So let me just back out. Option that you need to go ahead and turn on is transfer files over local network. Go ahead and click on that. Go ahead and turn it on. And now it's going to automatically assign a username and a password. So from here, guys, you can go in, you can change your username. You can do the same for the password, but I'm just going to leave it as is for this setup. But also keep in mind that you will need your IP address to get this mounted on whichever device you're trying to connect from. So you will need all this information right here. So definitely recommend taking a picture or making sure you have multiple screens open. That way you can get to it once you move from this screen. So the next thing we need to do on Nvidia Shield is make sure it doesn't go to sleep. The best way a server is able to serve you is being available when you need it. So to make your Nvidia Shield always awake, you need to go to your settings. You're going to go down to device preferences. You're going to click on about. You're going to go all the way down till you see your build number. So it should be the second to last option on this menu. Now what you want to do is click the OK button, I believe 6 times or 7 times, and you should enable developer options. So all right, that's it, guys. Developer option is now available. Now from here, we're just going to back to the previous menu. And if you go all the way to the bottom, you're going to see developer option is now there. Click on that. And where it says stay awake, go ahead and turn it on. And your Nvidia Shield is now ready to be used as a network attached storage. So I'm going to swap over to the computer and I'm going to show you how to connect to it. And we're going to do a speed test just to see how good it can be. So here we are on the PC and we just want to go ahead and map that network drive to this computer. So to do that, we're just going to right click on this PC. We're going to go ahead and map network drive, and you can go ahead and choose the drive letter. I'm just going to leave Z in place. So from here, guys, we want to put in the IP address, but what we want to do is just put in the IP address as we see the example. So we're going to hit // 192.168.1.124. If you guys remember, that was the IP address of my Nvidia Shield. Now, while we're on the IP addresses, another thing that you want to consider is just making this IP address static. Now, this will require you going into your router and making sure that IP address is reserved for the Nvidia Shield. Now, not going to go into that on this video, but if you guys want me to do a follow-up, just go ahead and drop that in the comment section below. So we have the IP address typed in. We're going to hit browse. And we're just going to go ahead and select on Mojo 2, and of course that's the SSD that I have installed on my Nvidia Shield. So I'm going to click OK, and you do have a couple options here. You can reconnect the sign, and you can connect using different credentials, but if you click finish and you prompt for the username and password, it's the same username and password that was on your Nvidia Shield. So if you connected before or previously, it might not pop up, but we'll see if it pops up for me. So for me, I already connected, so it's right here and available. But like I said, if your prompt for username and password, it will be that username and password that you saw on your screen when you went ahead and enable access from your network. So keep that in mind as well. All right, so I have a couple things on here. The main one we're going to look at is a folder called content. If I click on that, I have a couple movies in here, I have some music, I have some 4K videos, and best one to test on is the 4K video. So this is one of the drone videos that I've had for a while. So this is 4K at 60 frames per second, I believe. So you can see that's working pretty well. I can go ahead and skip ahead. That's actually playing right now. And you can see it works with no issue, guys. Remember, that is a 4K video and no stoppages. This is playing this like a champ with no issues. Let me go ahead and just play another one. This is another 4K video. Let me just go ahead and turn the sound down. This is another 4K video. This is a sample video. You guys probably seen this one before. All right, so like I said, no issues there. Let me see if I can play both videos. And right there, you can see both videos are playing with no issues, and both are 4K. One's at 30 frames, the other one is at 60 frames. So if you guys haven't used Crystal Disk, it basically, you get to select what size file you want. It basically runs read and write speed tests, and both sequential as well as random, and it kind of tells you what speeds you're getting. All right, so it's all completed, guys. You can see I'm getting pretty good read and write speed. So like I said, you guys can look what these mean separately, and I'll try to post a link for you. But essentially, these are two sequentials, these are random read write, and you can see that the scores are pretty decent. And copying a file directly from the drive over the network, you can see we're getting about 112 megabytes per second downloads. So really good speeds in my opinion. Now, the only other thing I wanted to bring to your attention that you might have questions about is, one, how do you access these drives off the network? So for that, I'm going to go ahead and reference a video I did showing you guys how to set up your own VPN in your house. So I'll go ahead and link that in the top right. And also, if we go back over to the Nvidia Shield, another thing that you might be interested in is actually connecting the Shield to a network drive, essentially doing the opposite that we're doing here. So to do that, you're going to go back to your settings. You're going to go down to device preferences. Going to go to storage, and you're going to go all the way down to mount network storage. So if you guys have a network attached storage that you want your Nvidia Shield to see, you can go ahead and set that up. If I just click in there, it'll scan it. But if it doesn't show up right here, you can see it found one of my network attached storages right there. But if it doesn't show up, you can manually add it via the IP address, and you can mount it that way. You will need a username and password, however. So before we jump into it, just know that we have a couple different protocols that we can choose from. So just a quick overview of what's available, and I'll go ahead and leave the link to this page as well, where you guys can go ahead and read more in depth of which protocol is going to work best for you. So we have PPTP, L2TP/IPsec, OpenVPN, and we also have Chameleon. So take a quick look. You can see the supported applications there. VPN security is going to be a big one, guys. So you can see right here, PPTP has basic encryption. When we get to LTTP/IPsec, it has a high encryption, does check data integrity, and encapsulate the data twice. As far as OpenVPN is going to have the highest security, authenticates data with digital certificate. So security is one thing you want to look at. We also want to look at the speeds. PPTP is going to be the fastest. However, that doesn't mean that it's the best. So it is the fastest due to the lower security. So if security is not a big thing to you, you might want to consider using PPTP. Now, LTP2/IPsec does require more CPU to process, and OpenVPN is going to have the best performance. It's going to have fast speeds, even on connections with high latency across great distances. So between the three options we're going to have on Synology, today I'm going to do the OpenVPN setup. Now, if you guys want me to do the PPTP, I will go ahead and do so. Or if you want me to do the L2TP, I will go ahead and do that just drop your comments in the comment section and let me know. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the setup. So the application we're going to be using is VPN Server, and this can be found in your Synology Package Center, guys. So if you guys are new to Synology, you go ahead and go to your Package Center, and right here you just search for VPN and it should pop up. So there it is right there. Click install and you should be good to go. So once you have it installed, go ahead and launch VPN Server. All right, so this is going to be the basic setup. Like I said, you have 3 basic options there, guys. You have PPTP, openvpn, and L2TP/IPsec. Like I said, the one that we're going to be working with today is going to be openvpn. So we're going to go down here, we're going to select openvpn, and we're just going to go ahead and enable it. So you can see here now you have a couple options. So you do have the dynamic IP address. We also have the maximum connection numbers. This is the amount of people you want to be able to access at the same time. So think about it, guys. If you have 100 people connected at the same time, it's gonna pretty much bog down your system. So you want to take this into consideration, along with if you're running anything else on your Synology NAS, how this might affect performance. So if I'm watching 4K Plex videos all day, I might want to keep this number as low as possible. And also note that this is using port 1194, so just keep that in mind. That is the default. The protocol for this one, we're going to leave it at UDP. And as far as the encryption, like I said, you can go ahead and play with it, but I'm just going to leave it at AES 256. Now, very important right here, guys, if this is not checked to allow clients to access servers LAN, you might lose some of those functionalities, like if you guys are remoted in, or if you just want to do certain things on your network. If this is not enabled, you might not get those options. So definitely recommend turning that on. So now that we have everything set up, guys, we're just going to go ahead and click apply. All right. Pop-up is going to tell us, hey, make sure you're forwarding port 1194. So make sure UDP 1194 is open. So we're going to click OK, and we're going to go over and just verify that's open. So the good thing about Synology's NAS is that they actually have a tool that talks to your router directly. Depending on your comfort level, if you have the NAS, the easiest way to go through here and do it, or you can go to your router and make sure that port is forward. It's going to depend on which router you have, so you might have to do a Google search or check your router's manual. So to do it on the Synology NAS, we're going to go to our control panel. And right now we're in advanced mode, so you can switch back and forth to basic. So if you only see a couple icons like I'm seeing here, you want to switch that to advanced mode, and then you should see this. So now we're going to click on external access. So you can see I already have external access, but for the router, we're going to go to a router configuration. And now we're just going to go ahead and click setup router. And that way you can automatically talk to your router in the future just to apply those ports that we need forwarded. So very useful tool in my opinion. And you can see the pop-up that says your UPnP router has passed the compatibility test. So universal plug and play rules basically means that Synology should be able to make those requests in our behalf. Now we're going to hit next. And we're going to go ahead and click apply. So like I said, depending on your router, if you're not compatible, you might have to go into your router itself and set up the ports that you need forwarding. And the manual should have instructions, but if you do a quick Google search along with your router model, you should be able to pull this up as well. So now we're going to go ahead and create that port. Remember that we need 1194 UDP forwarded. And let me just pull this over to the side. This is the port that we need to forward. So we're going to go to create. We're going to do a custom port. Click next, and this port might be forwarded already, but I'll just go through the process. So UDP, and we're going to 1194, and we're going to do 1194 for both. We're going to click apply, and we're going to click save. All right, click OK. Find the rule. So that's one way to add the custom port. However, if it fails or you just can't get it going that method, you can go ahead and go to create. Now this time, if you go to built-in application, click next. If you go down, and you can see right now UDP 1194 is an option there. So I'll click on that, click apply, click save. It's going to give us that pop-up, and you can see that connection came back okay. So the next step, and this is very important, guys, you want to make sure that your IP address is static. And for most people, you're not going to have a static external IP address. unless you're a business or you pay extra for that particular feature. So what Synology does, it creates a URL that's particular to your IP address, and what it does, it updates it constantly, guys. So every couple minutes it'll check if the IP address changed, it will go ahead and just apply that setting, and that way if the IP address changes, it doesn't interrupt your service. So to set this up, we're going to go to DDNS, and then you will be brought to a page like this. So on the service provider, we're going to click on the drop down, we're going to select Synology. Now you're going to get to pick a host name. So if you want it to be M, you can go ahead and put that there. If you want it to be Network NAS for all, or a company name for that matter, you can go ahead and just select that there. The domain name, you can either pick synology.me, hit the drop down, you have a couple more options. You get to pick your host name, so you can essentially name it whatever you want, unless that name is already taken, then you'll have to change it. And now we see that we have that setting when we go back. And one more thing we need to do, and if you have a network attached storage, chances are you already have this set up, but you want to make sure that your internal IP address for your NAS is set to static. And you can do this from the router, or you can do it from the Synology NAS itself. So to get to that, we're going to go to our control panel. We're going to go down to network. Then we're going to go to network interface. If you click on bond, click on edit, IPv4. And mine's set to get network configuration automatically. I do have this set static on the router, but if you don't, you can use a manual configuration. I'm going to leave this as is, but like I said, with Synology, you can set it one way or another. So next we want to set up the users. That's actually going to be using VPN. So to do that, we're going to go to control panel. We're going to go to users. We're going to create. So the required fields are the name and password. So let's go ahead and set those. All right, so we do have a strong password. We're going to click next. All right, so we're going to click next, 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 and we'll just click apply just to get the account created. So to verify that, we're going to go back to VPN. We're going to go to privilege, and you can see right here, and you can see under James, I do have access to all 3 VPNs. So now we're going to need a certificate for James. So to get that, we're going to go down to openvpn. I'm going to go to export configuration, and it should go ahead and download a zip file for you. And the file is right here. It's not a large file. You want to get that to every computer that's gonna be accessing this VPN. So here we are on another computer, and I will be connecting to a hotspot later just to test everything out. But you can see I have the openvpn zip file right there. And if I double click on it, I have a couple files in here. So one file that you have to pay attention to is the VPN config file. So let's go ahead and open that with the text editor. So you can do a right click, we're gonna open. And we're just gonna click on more apps, and we're gonna use Notepad to edit it. Now one thing we wanna change is where it says your server IP address, we wanna go ahead and delete that. And this spot, you can either put an external IP address if your IP address is static, or if you plan to manage it yourself. And in this case, whatever we chose as our host name, we can go ahead and use that. So for mine, I think it was m.synology.me, but it depends what you created. So once you have your host name or your IP address in here, go ahead and save the changes. So I'm just gonna put mine on my desktop. And on the file type, you wanna go to all, and you just want to put .ovpn. You want to make sure it has that same extension, guys. And save it, and there's a config file. So before we do anything, let's go ahead and download the openvpn client. So we're going to go to the Windows, we're going to go to the 64-bit installer. All right, let's go ahead and run it. We will see this at the first load, guys. It says no readable connection profiles found. Copy the config files to the following location. So we're going to use the import option. So let's go ahead and exit out of that. So the VPN is running, but to get it imported, we're going to go ahead and hit the arrow. And you can see where it says OVPN right there. We're going to right click. All right, so we do have 2 options here. Settings, import file. We're going to go ahead and import file. We're going to go to our desktop. VPN config, open, and you can see file imported successfully. Click OK. All right, so we go ahead and launch it, and now it's asking for the username and password that we created back on the Synology NAS. All right, so username was James, and I did create a pretty strong password. We're going to go ahead and save the password and click OK. We're going to allow access. I am connected, and you can see it did assign an IP address based on that IP scheme that I chose. So my IP address for this connection is 10.0.0.6. But to truly test this, guys, I'm going to jump off my home network, set up on a hotspot, and we're just going to make sure everything is still good to go. All right, so I am connected. You can see I'm connected to my iPhone, and let's go ahead and we're going to launch openvpn. And again, guys, it is going to show the icon right here in the bottom. It does bring up the credential. Let's go ahead and click OK. All right, we're going to allow. All right, so it's going through. You can see it is connected, guys. It gives me another IP address, and now I should be able to act as I would be if I'm on the network, guys. So let's open our file explorer. Let's go to our network, see if we can map a drive or see the drives that's available. All right. You can see I am in my network drive. This is my NAS, by the way, and I'm connected via VPN. So that's it for this video. Like I said, if you guys own an Nvidia Shield, yes, it's great for streaming. Yes, it's good for gaming. Why not also utilize it as a network attached storage? So I'll leave links to the Nvidia Shield as well as the SSD that I use for this tutorial. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.